Hello, thank you for joining me, and today I will be making 5 chosen from the various Chaos Legions. Before you are some very well painted chosen from the official Games Workshop box. Unfortunately, you will have to excuse the barrels. According to his missus, the guy's not very good at drilling. I have a lot of Chaos commissions due, and considering the political situation abroad at the moment, I've decided to name this the Month of Chaos. First of all, I need to assemble components to create the Legionnaires. As I was going through my drawers of junk, I managed to pick out these nice little red Corsairs. I'm not 100% sure if the chest pieces are official, but they look cool anyway. To achieve this, I used an old friend of mine called isopropyl alcohol. Unfortunately, it's not the fun kind of alcohol that you can drink. Nevertheless, when left overnight, mixed with a little dash of water, it'll soften and dissolve most of the paint. Your mileage may vary if you're using enamels or something exotic, but acrylics don't really stand much of a chance against it. The majority of the paint can then be removed with a toothbrush. I recommend using a smoker's one, as the bristles are far firmer, meaning you can remove paint easier without causing damage to the plastic. I then proceed to clip parts out of the sprue, while cleaning up any mould lines as necessary. Why would I do this if I only want a few parts? Well, I don't like sprues knocking around, and I very much prefer them all to be in tiny little bags and containers so they're easily organised, because I'm totally normal and I'm not autistic, you're autistic. Now where was I? Oh yes! I emptied out a bag of chaos bits and picked through, separating out anything that might interest me for the different factions, adding them back to the bag as I go so that I know that I've looked through everything. With my various parts corralled, it was now time to start building the infantry units. I thought it best to begin with the Death Guard unit first, just so I could get the stank out. I started with the cape, as I believed that it would require the most aggressive treatment. And this was one of those rare moments, dear viewer, where I was very disappointed to be correct. I ended up having to brutalise it with a Dremel because there was so much material that needed removing that I'd be there all day, all night, and probably into the next morning if I tried doing it with a craft knife. Luckily, with copious amounts of both aggression and swearing, I was eventually able to remove enough material that I could test fit the backpack. Or should I say, the back portion of the Space Marine chest armour. Now that I had a good eye on the finer parts that I needed to work with, I was able to do the slight adjustments needed to squeeze it nice and tight into the back of the cape as shown. On the subject of squeezing into the back of things, when test fitting the chest and the legs, I realised there was too much junk in the trunk, so I blew out his rear. I then moved on to the left arm, which required a little bit of trimming and sanding to get into the position that I wanted it to be. My objective was to make him almost, but not quite as gross as a 90s anime convention. So once I'd finished tidying up the arm, I moved on to finding bits that I could use to make it a little bit more, in keeping with Papa Nurgle's blessings. To help with this, I dug out pieces that had little tentacles and pustules all over them, and did a little bit of light trimming so that it could fit neatly into what I'd already placed there. I know, the right arm looks to be a bit of a mess at the moment, but don't worry, I do have plans for that. While I waited for the green stuff to dry, I did a little work on the backpack by removing this pipe, giving me ample room to add a cloud of insects. I ended up not opting for the ones demonstrated, as I managed to find a larger cloud later. After that I mixed up a little batch of green stuff and stretched it into tentacles, covering various parts of the model, and adding texture as I went. Now fully satisfied with my wannabe Reddit moderator, it was time to move on to the sexual deviant. And I know what you're thinking, no, I'm not referring to myself, I mean the Slaanesh. So I picked out some legs and a torso that appealed to me, and went about the task of mating the two together, inserting the crotch into the hole after loosening it up with my tool. After some aggressive grinding, and a not especially gentle gaping session, I was able to force that thing in there with a generous amount of splooge securing it. Oh, do get your mind out of the gutter. The next step I chose to partake on in the journey involved the arms. I did try to look up references and inspiration for this, but I can assure you that googling Slaanesh tentacles will not get you the results you're looking for. So I cut the single tentacle arm in half, and used the front on the right hand side, and the shoulder to elbow on the left hand side. As I worried that plastic glue wasn't enough for one of the arms, I decided to drill a hole, and pin it in securely using 1mm florist wire. The right arm appeared to be secure using plastic glue alone, only time will tell. Next I wanted to add a little bit more filigree and ornamentation to the armour. In this vein I drilled a small hole in the chest to accommodate a Slaanesh symbol. I'm pretty sure the chest itself is from Rabute Guilliman, and to enable me to attach it to the torso, I had to remove quite a bit of material from the original chest plate. Additionally, I removed a blood droplet from an angel's shoulder pad, and used a nail art bead to create an orb, thereby giving an approximation of the Emperor's Children symbol. For the record, that tongue's been places. Now it's time for a dash of the weaponized autism displayed by the Legion of Perturabo, the Iron Warriors. I liked elements from both of these torso fronts, however, by taking the top part of one and the bottom part of another, I felt that it would be far better in upholding the Iron Warriors aesthetic. I also found a nice Mark III helmet, a style that's very popular with the Iron Warriors, as I believe it's the preferred type of armour for their form of siegecraft. As Iron Warriors are often depicted with excessive amounts of bionics and weaponry, I decided to make a plasma-mounted backpack that fortunately required surprisingly little work considering how complicated I could have made it. It was a simple matter of removing the plasma that had already been cut to be attached to the arm, from the arm, and then making a small incision in the mechanical arm on the backpack. By now you're probably thinking he's compensating for something, and oh, let me tell you, I have not finished. I also wanted to give him a power weapon, but not just any power weapon, something that looked like it could get through a wall or maybe a tank. So I cut the head off of a Space Wolf's hammer arm, and pulled out the hammerhead from what I believe is a warpsmith, and attached it to the now empty top. But wait! There's more! Because what's better than an arm that's bionic? That's right, an arm that's bionic with a gun attached. Not only does this lean into the Iron Warriors aesthetic I'm trying to build, but it also means you can argue that he's got a combi weapon, which as a Chaos Chosen, is a loadout that's available to him. Now just a quick question, did you eat your cornflakes this morning? Yes indeed, this fella is part of a balanced breakfast, but unfortunately I haven't done much to modify him. He's just an amalgamation of various kits reaching all the way back to the 90s. However, it's a very good opportunity for me to share with you a quick tip regarding superglue. If you find yourself having difficulty with it going everywhere and flowing in places that you don't want it to, might I suggest that you dab a small amount on a piece of plastic or disposable card, dab the part that you want in the glue, and then apply it to the location. Much less messy. Do hold your breath though. And for the love of God, please make the amount quite small. And last, but certainly by no means least, it's Chickenhead the Book Nerd, also known as 1000 Sun. He also, in the grand scheme of things, didn't require a lot of work. I've always liked these older Chaos gauntlets, but just to spice it up a bit, I thought I'd add the talons from a Mark VI 30k kit. Add a plasma pistol and 1000 Sun's body and head, and we're ready to go. And just to finish things off, I used dried mulch as a basing material. Why do I use mulch? Well, you can get large bags of it for very little money. And in my experience, nice bases make models aces. You should really give it a go. It's as simple as dolloping on a little bit of hot glue and pressing it into place. And there we go, a tactical rock. And now with everything sorted, I've kept you waiting long enough. Time for the reveal.